Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a medical mystery hiding in plain sight. It's happening right now in classrooms, living rooms, and playgrounds all around us. We're talking about children's vision. But listen, we aren't just talking about simple short-sightedness or kids sitting a little too close to the TV. We are looking into a hidden epidemic where severe optical dysfunctions are being completely misread by parents, teachers, and even standard health screenings. Get ready, because what we're about to uncover will completely change how you observe the children in your life. Take a look at this quote. These are actual clinical case notes from the parents of an 8-year-old boy. They wrote, "He is often tired and inattentive following an extended near task. We are keen to do anything to help." Now, his teacher actually referred him for inattention at school. And honestly, it sounds like a classic case of a behavioral or attention issue, right? You hear words like tired and inattentive after focusing, and our modern minds immediately jump to diagnoses like ADHD. His parents are just desperate to help him focus. But this really begs a massive question. Is it truly an attention issue, or is it a hidden vision problem? In this explainer, we're going to explore the clinical realities drawn from 11 fascinating patient cases. These aren't theoretical scenarios. These are real medical files that prove a child's struggles in the classroom are very often a complex, hidden optical dysfunction that's just wearing a behavioral mask.
Section 1, the hidden vision epidemic. Let's get right into it.
You see, the core issue here boils down to a massive difference between visual acuity and binocular vision. Think about a standard school eye test. A child covers one eye and reads letters on a chart. That just tests visual acuity, meaning their ability to see a sharp image. But reading a book, that isn't just about seeing clearly. It requires binocular vision. This is how the eyes and the brain actually work together as a synchronized team to focus on a target, track lines of text, and prevent double vision. So a child can absolutely have perfect 20/20 visual acuity, but terrible binocular vision, and that's what causes major fatigue, headaches, and inattention. Moving on to Section 2. Is it really behavior? When we map the presenting behavioral mask to the actual clinical diagnosis found by an optometrist, well, the results are pretty stunning. Remember that 8-year-old boy we started with, the inattentive one? His clinical reality was something called convergence insufficiency. When he was tested, his eyes literally struggled to converge or point inward together, and they broke alignment at just 8 centimeters from his face. No wonder he was tired. Or look at the 4-year-old girl with autism and motor delays. Her perceived lazy eye was actually intermittent exotropia. What looks like a sensory, attention, or developmental issue is often just the eyes physically failing to coordinate. Now, to really grasp this, we need to quickly define a couple of clinical terms. Esotropia is an inward turn of the eye. Think of it like crossing inwards. Exotropia, on the other hand, is an outward turn, where the eye drifts away from the nose. Both of these conditions severely disrupt reading, depth perception, and attention, simply because the brain is constantly fighting to merge two completely different images into one. Let's look at how this plays out in real life with 7-year-old Finley. Finley is on the autism spectrum. His mother brought him in because he holds his model toys incredibly close. He's highly sensitive to light and touch, and he constantly closes one eye while playing. Now, it would be incredibly easy to just write this all off as purely autism-related sensory behaviors, wouldn't it? But the clinical exam revealed he had uncorrected hyperopia, which is farsightedness, and convergence excess, meaning his eyes were moderately pulling inward. Closing one eye wasn't just a behavioral quirk, it was an incredibly smart coping mechanism to instantly stop the double vision his eye turn was causing. Which brings us to Section 3, the reading paradox. Consider 6-year-old Angelina. Her case file describes a deeply conscientious student who even reads under the covers with a flashlight at night. But she's complaining of increasing headaches, she actually gets dizzy during testing, and suddenly she can't see the whiteboard at school. Based on that whiteboard symptom alone, you'd naturally assume Angelina just needs distance glasses for short-sightedness, right? But here's the twist. Angelina's symptoms are masking an entirely different beast, accommodative excess. Because she spends hours doing intense near reading in poor lighting, her eyes' focusing muscles have literally spasmed and locked up. They're working so hard to read close up that when she looks up at the whiteboard, those muscles physically cannot relax. It mimics short-sightedness for sure, but it's actually an overworking muscle spasm. Giving her standard distance glasses would just be putting a Band-Aid on a muscle cramp. Kids are incredibly smart at compensating for these deficits. Take this 5-and-a-half-year-old. He's a gifted gymnast, reading advanced books, and has high-level 3D vision in everyday life. Yet the clinical reality is shocking. When he reads, he has a massive 40-prism diopter inward eye turn, a very significant left esotropia. But because he is so bright and adaptable, he perfectly masks this huge physical deviation by simply covering one eye while he reads. He's relying entirely on his high intelligence to cope with a visual system that is structurally collapsing under the strain of reading. So how do we spot this? Section 4, Solving the Clinical Mystery. Uncovering this requires a very specific sequence of testing to basically bypass a child's behavioral coping mechanisms. It breaks down into 3 main steps. Step 1 is dry retinoscopy, which looks at the natural prescription. Step 2 is a rigorous binocular workup to see exactly how the eyes team, converge, and track. But step 3 is the real secret weapon, cycloplegic retinoscopy, which is often called a wet test. That third step, cycloplegic refraction, it's effectively the ultimate lie detector test for the eyes. By using special temporary eye drops, the optometrist paralyzes the eye's internal focusing muscles. And why is this necessary? Well, because young children have incredibly strong eye muscles. They can subconsciously flex these muscles to hide severe farsightedness. Without these drops, an optometrist might completely miss a massive prescription hiding just below the surface. A perfect example of why this is so necessary is 4-year-old Lachlan. He failed a basic vision screening with a maternal health nurse. His mother was genuinely shocked. She noted in his file that she saw absolutely zero evidence of a vision problem. But underneath it all, Lachlan was found to have a plus 3.00 prescription for farsightedness and a small intermittent inward eye turn. His young visual system was fighting incredibly hard to keep things clear, completely masking the strain from his parents. And this leads us to a really critical number, 35. That is the 35% likelihood that a hyperopic prescription like young Lachlan's will progress into hyperopic strabismus, which is a permanent fixed eye turn if it's left completely untreated. Early detection doesn't just fix a reading problem, it literally prevents a permanent structural change in how the child's brain and eyes wire themselves for the rest of their lives. All right, once we found the problem, what next? Section 5. Beyond just glasses. As you can see, the treatment protocols are vastly different and highly customized to the specific dysfunction. We are so far beyond just getting glasses. For Lachlan, it's full-time prescription wear to prevent a lazy eye. For our gifted 5.5-year-old gymnast, it's actually prescribing high near-ad bifocals. Yeah, bifocals for a kindergartner, to force his eyes to relax their convergence. For 7-year-old Finley, it's utilizing complex base-down yoked prisms to literally alter his spatial perception and relax his eyes. For Angelina, it means vision therapy and strict reading breaks to break that muscle spasm. And for an older patient, say a 14-year-old, it might involve advanced myopia control using specialty drops or lenses to stop the eyes from elongating. The intervention has to perfectly match the precise mechanical failure. We've seen how incredible the human body is at adapting, and how easily visual exhaustion can masquerade as bad behavior, inattention, or even clumsiness. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Now that you know the behavioral masks, what hidden visual struggles, maybe a covered eye, a slight head tilt while drawing, or sudden fatigue after homework, might be sitting right in front of you just waiting to be uncovered? Keep your eyes open.